It's brutally pointless because of the toxic mentality of the military to discuss what evildoers in the city of Pittsburgh call provincial norm. Ken Crimson has insulted the intelligence of every man, woman, and child on earth. Anybody can see from the photograph that my sister provided of me and from the trauma that I was in. There's no existing pictures that show the legendary post traumatic concussion from 35 years prior that appeared in my face when I arrived in Chinatown. But anyone can see from the picture and from my testimony and infer from the neurological implant what a horrifying coma like condition I was put in by a psychiatrist from Israel working for Attica State Prison and the intelligence services in cooperation with Russian KGB and the various intelligence networks that Her Majesty's government had worked out for their play. But you see, the Beatles slopers intoned that there was going to be this um, bylaw, cultural bylaw, that required people to protest through self-immolation practices. And they want to be exonerated from John Lennon's drug use. He stepped out, so they get to be exonerated. Then I'm supposed to play in their matrix, in their grid. Am I a good druggy ethnicien, as Thomas Gordon intoned, or am I a lying, scheming, liberal, white hypocrite from the West who is supposed to be discounted? You can see the rhetorical framework. They were pot boiling from all that. Reality is that it wasn't a provincial norm, although it was smothered in something of a provincial norm. It was a grotesque Holocaust simulation experiment, and I had no more choice than your average Anne Frank getting dragged out of the closet. And you can see this from examination. I saw a POW who was a very outstanding representative of the Dugan style of Russian. He was bearded, he was frank, he was direct, he was Dostoevsky, and he had been taken into custody by the Ukraine. And he said, "We came here unwelcome, uninvited, we were wrong." He obviously didn't want to fight, and he said, "We'll accept whatever you decide." Okay. So this is supposedly a test of manhood, a test of valor in that same way. A child who has been tortured is supposed to throw himself at the mercy of the Krokagri Guster Karanak. Well, the military proceedings that were pot-boiled in the Ukraine conform to this derision from Greg Carl's nuclear Britain psyche about the parochial absolute. And he's been seizing at the cyber war hybrid Xania switches must have parochial absolute. If there is any kind of provincial norm, it's the people get confused and that there's a certain requirement, as Flippy Tune would say, pushed on people who make the decision to live in peace with human traffickers rather than be murdered by them. And in that sense, there's a provincial norm represented in Pittsburgh, what was a brutal kidnapping requirement. They brutally tortured and gassed me. They horribly humiliated me. And they're trying to hold me answerable to the standard that they inflicted on me, irrespective of any sort of contrary evidence, review of information, child psychology, normative processes, because they're berserk. And to call it something else is it's forbidden of me. So I mean, they can keep their autographs. I'm not interested. I'm really not interested. Their excuses are bizarre. They have a schizoid man, the egomania. They want to see schizoid man. They're doing it for entertainment. And rubbish about like cosmology and so on. It's asinine. In the 80s, I approached these people trying to sort out how to an ecology approach. You would think that it's like I was at the time doing field trips around where the cement was deteriorating, pulling away the pebbles to let the tufts of grass breathe. And I was looking for somebody who had strength of mind and wisdom to come and interject ecological education. What does it mean to be conscientious? Soil restoration after cement is destroyed. A conversation about reducing driving. I mean, I immediately thought if Obama had any credibility as a thinking president, he would have told Detroit, I can't bail you out. What we're going to do instead is invest in mass transportation. And of course, the cosmology of contagion, the pepper virus, militates against mass transit. You don't want to mingle. But these kinds of issues deserve attention and thought. And we're dealing with dogma. Louis Lapham came in saying, oh, victim status, the spiral of the Chris Rock scene with Will Smith. Victim, no victims. Victims, who's the victim? Victim. And it comes from CMU's old gang called themselves the Relative Truth. You know, um, Pittsburgh has lots of like self-advertisement bluster people talk about food, weapon, and so on shamelessly. So I mean, I know what kind of sponsorship is in the background of this kind of appalling immiseration of a child, the deafness, the neurohypnosis, the brutal humiliation, forcible obedience, you know, reducing me to human garbage as a genocide warrant, which is what they wrote. And then they play like I should have understood that this 12-year-old Jewish girl was sort of a bizarro of Anne Frank coming out of the forbidden planet. And that's where the Ragusa is like really dogmatizes. They see it as the parallax void snatching at karma, and it doesn't get any more intelligible than that. So if you want to reduce it to its primary cause, it's not that Jimmy said yes to Ralph Karsh pushing marijuana on him. The root cause is that these people, as Nelson Mandela once said about Reagan, can't think properly. They discount all the rules of evidence. Child psychology, and they're just out to wreak havoc. And to call it sensible is absurd. It's not sensible. What's sensible is to look at the picture and say somebody really wrecked that person, and we need to get a picture of what was going on there and who was doing it, which is what I've said for a long time. And Tony Levin is off his rocker. He's like doing Swami like this to Hitler's forces, saying, "Oh, Swami like this, Swami like this." I mean, they're not that many pure and simple Adolf Hitler forces anymore, thank God. But in his mind's eye, that's what he's doing. He's up against the python of cosmic Hitlerism, and he's going, I can gutter with you. You will see I mean, he thinks he's the shrink of divine syphilis. And it doesn't amount to anything, Levin. If you have something you want to talk to me about, you should talk to me. You should open your stupid brain to contrary indications about what really happened because you're incapable. If somebody comes up and stuffs marijuana in your pocket and says, I will kill you if you take that bag out of your pocket, it's just a cheap cop trick. This thing was a loud and clear cheap cop trick. That's all it was. Somebody planting something on somebody who was innocent to take them hostage. How stupid are you? And you're helping these people steal from museums and run recklessly at Cali school. That's what kills me. I came to you thinking you were an intelligent human being. And you could have killed these black children with your stupidity and your arrogance. I can't stand it. And my father was a school bus driver, and you let them kill him. Levin, just take a hike.